You don't need a lot of expensive gear to start recording your instruments onto a computer, whether it's laptop, desktop computer, Windows or Mac. I'm going to tell you where you should start to look in terms of cheap hardware that will actually give you professional recordings that doesn't really require that much upfront investment. And after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the software, the things you are recording it into your computer. So first of all, let's just assume you have a computer. If it's a PC or Mac, it doesn't really matter at this point. And I'm going to give you some general advice about computers, both Mac and PC, around the end of this video. So the first thing you need to record any instrument into a computer is an audio interface. So an audio interface is just a box. It looks something like this, in which you connect a microphone, a guitar, or any other instrument into. You then plug this box into your computer and it will be able to record right away. And in most cases you actually don't have to install anything either, it just works straight away out of the box. An audio interface also obviously gives you audio outputs, so you can listen to your work through headphones like this I have behind me here, or you can connect speakers in addition to that, often both things at the same time if you want. The brand I recommend is called Focusrite, and more notably their Scarlett lineup. I have used them for myself for probably around 6 to 8 years. They are affordable, they are high quality, stable, and they work with both Mac and PC without having to install anything extra. Focusrite Scarlett interfaces are also the best seller on Amazon in the audio interfaces category, and it has extremely good ratings, and there is a reason for that. They are affordable and they are high quality. So I have affiliate links to Amazon to the specific ones I recommend in the description below this video. The link to that audio interface down there will not increase your price. It just gives me a small percentage cut if you decide to buy it. Some of these audio interfaces also come in bundles, which means you get the interface, you get actually a microphone, and you get headphones in one cheap bundle. I think you can get it for under $300. And actually the ones in the bundles Focusrite have, the headphones and the microphones there, they are really good for the price they are demanding for the bundle. You can obviously also buy the audio interface alone, and you can use the microphone and the headphones you want to use, and these interfaces also have 48 phantom power volts, so they should be able to drive most microphones as well, but make sure you check the specifications there first. If you watch my channel, you might get the idea that you need expensive Macs, you need a lot of plugins, you need expensive software to create music, and that is not the case. The reason why I have these technical videos on my channel, it's because it's something that interests me. I'm interested in it, but it's not something that is needed to get started with recording your own music. And I don't want people to think that you need all of these things. I mean, you need like expensive Macs and expensive audio interfaces, and you need a Moog behind me here because you want a bass line. No, you don't need that. You have even free software that can give you a bass line. It's like it's not really needed. I just wanted to get that out of there because many people think that you actually need those things, but you don't. So now what? You have the interface, you bought it through Amazon or something, you have the interface connected to your PC, you have a piano or you have a guitar, and you want to get this into your computer. What do you do now? Well, now you need some kind of software that will allow you to record this. And I want to actually talk about the Mac first, because I think that honestly that's the easiest way for a beginner to start out, and that is using Garageband that comes pre-installed on every Mac currently delivered from Apple. And if it's not on your Mac for some strange reason, you will find it in the App Store for free and you can just download it. In Garageband you will be able to select the audio interface you just bought, and then you can press record and you can start recording your instrument into Garageband right away. When you are done recording, you have the possibility to add other instruments that is included in Garageband. So let's say you want a bass line, you will find that already built in Garageband. You can find different bass lines, you can find ready-made loops, or you can program your own bass line with, for example, a bass synthesizer. You can find drum loops and other things to just instantly drag in and add to your recording, and now you basically have endless possibilities to take this wherever you want, and you haven't paid for any software. Well, you have paid for the Mac, but you haven't paid for the recording software. You might have heard about Logic Pro. This is Apple's professional DAW. GarageBand is like a Logic Pro Lite, and if you find that you need some of the advanced features in Logic, Logic will be able to open your GarageBand project, and you can continue developing them further in Logic if you decide to do so at a later time. So let's talk a little bit about Windows and PC and recording music into that. So if you're using Windows and PC, the question here is, how much do you want to do in your recordings? Because if you only want to record your instrument and you don't want to do anything else, you don't want to add a bass line, you don't want to add drum loops, you just want the recording from, let's say, your guitar, your piano, and nothing else, you can actually then use a free software called Audacity. I will put a link to that in the description below. Audacity is an open source audio editor, meaning it's free, and it will be able to record from your audio interface and will give you a high quality audio audio file. You can record in extremely high quality, and then you can edit the file if you want. You can cut, you can fade in the start, you can fade out the ending, and you can export it to MP3 or some other format. Audacity even actually support VST plugins, so you can actually add reverb, delay if you want on that recording. So there's a lot of free professional plugins out there now also you can use. So if you just need one track, Audacity is something you should take a look at. If you want to do more, if you want to add other instruments, maybe plugins, you obviously need to look into getting a DAW, and here it is really a matter of taste and budget. You don't have GarageBand on a Windows computer, that is reserved for the Apple ecosystem, and if you have a very low budget, you can get a DAW called Reaper, which is fully capable and an up-to-date DAW. The discounted license is cheap compared to other competing DAWs. Reaper might be a little complicated for a beginner, but I don't think other more expensive DAWs like Ableton Live or Reason perhaps are necessarily that much easier for a beginner. And you can try it out for free for 60 days, I think. And I will also leave a link to it down below if you want to check it out. Another thing about Reaper, it also gives you the benefit of being efficient software. So that means it might work, if you have an old computer, Reaper might work slightly better on older and slower computers compared to other DAWs. That is at least what I have seen in my testing of music production software on this channel. I have done some advanced testing on some computers, and that's also what I've seen from other people on the internet. They say that Reaper is pretty efficient, so it could be something to look at if you have a slow and old computer and you can't afford to buy something else. Now, I don't use Reaper myself, I use Ableton Live, and you also have different versions of Ableton Live, so you can get the intro version of Ableton, which is cheaper, will give you less tracks, but it will get you started out. If you feel that it's too little, you can upgrade your license if you want more features from Ableton Live. Also, if you're a beginner and on PC, it could be smart, I think, to get something that a lot of people use, like Ableton Live. That way you know that you are just a Google search away if you need any help with something, because a lot of people use it, you know, and if I at some point are going to offer consultation, you can ask me as well. There's a lot of resources about Ableton Live out there if you want to learn more. So here are some of my thoughts about getting a computer for music production, and let's talk about the Mac first. Any Mac in sale today, from the cheapest Mac Mini to the most expensive Mac Studio is able to handle music production in some form. If you're going to record an instrument, maybe add some effects to that instrument, maybe add a drum loop, a bass line, and just some limiting on your master. Let's say it's 5 tracks, 6 tracks, maybe 10 tracks. I would say that any Mac you can buy from Apple today is able to handle that type of project. So you can basically sort on cheapest Mac and go for the cheapest one if that's what you'd like to do. I will also leave some example links in the description below this video to Mac Minis and Macs that is able to do music production. And if you want to see how Apple computers work in music production projects, I have several videos on my channel showing that in bigger, more complex projects that are using a lot of synthesizers. And of course, synthesizers use a lot more resources from your computer compared to if you record an instrument and audio file. I mean, if you have, let's say you're recording 20 audio file tracks, you have like a stack of 20 tracks of audio files. In most cases, the most low-end Mac will be able to play off these audio files. It's just files, it's nothing else. But let's say if you had 20 of these tracks, but it was software plugins instead, instruments, that would be more demanding for a computer, because it has to process it, it has to generate the sound on the fly while you are playing it. So that's kind of the difference. So recording doesn't really require that much performance, depending on how much you have in the project. So take a look at those videos if you have the time. It's maybe not really geared to the absolute beginner, but you might get some value from that anyway, I hope. You can also buy a used Mac, but you have to make sure the Mac is using an M CPU. If it says Intel, I wouldn't go there unless you have some specific needs, and if those specific needs, you know what those needs are. Or if the price is extremely low, I'm talking like sub $200 or something, I would not go Intel, because I saw someone bought a used Mac Mini for an M CPU for like under $300, and it was able to handle a pretty large and demanding projects without breaking a sweat. Remember also, if you go for the Mac Mini, you need to supply your own display, keyboard and mouse, but those devices doesn't have to be an Apple display or an Apple keyboard. You can get whatever you like. If you go for a PC, most people actually recommend Intel as a base, although AMD is also an option and has worked well for my uses. From that, you have to also focus on CPU speed and cores first, and then I would think about also memory and storage. But again, if you're only recording a few tracks, most PCs today will be able to handle that. In my opinion, a desktop PC is best. Nowadays, it's possible to find a good performing, also small desktop PCs. That's the size of a shoebox. Not where I live, but if you live in the States, there are also a lot of system integrators that make good PC builds tailored for content creators, music production, and other things. So go get the audio interface, use the links below this video, like this video if it helped you in any way, and get your ideas recorded. Any questions you have can be typed below, and I will do my best to answer the questions. And thank you for watching.